Welcome to Running Your Best Life, the podcast where we go beyond the miles and into what really makes life worth running for. I'm your host, Victor Iscaino, and I'm joined by my amazing co host, Adele Banafos. Together, we'll help you discover how running can be a vehicle for transformation physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Hi, everybody. I'm Adele, a high performance coach and lifelong runner. Here on Running Your Best Life, we will bring you the best principles, practices, and wisdom to not only elevate your running, but help you create a life that feels as fulfilling as crossing your dream finish line.
Whether you're training for your first 5K, chasing a marathon PR, or simply looking to make running a tool for personal growth, this podcast is for you. Our goal is to help you integrate your running journey with the habits, mindsets, and balance you need to thrive.
Each episode will share some real life experiences with you, some insights, and some expert advice and inspiring stories that will empower you to run strong, live intentionally, and embrace a holistic approach to life.
So lace up those shoes and join us as we explore how to truly run your best life. Let's get started.
It started. Okay. So, everybody, today, Victor and I, we are really enjoying sharing some great ideas about the holidays, how to run through the holidays, how to stay on your programs, maybe stay on your goals, what your plan is, but also the other parts that go into it too. So, we have a little idea for you to share today, and it's called Holiday Resolutions that move into your New Year's resolutions. And I gave Victor a couple of ideas that I had, and we're going to share those with you today. Not our New Year's resolutions. We've got 2 more weeks of our holidays. So these are resolutions to get through the last 2 weeks of Christmas and New Year's. A couple of things that we've shared with you in the past couple of weeks is staying consistent on some training. If you have some definite goals that a race comes maybe within the first couple of weeks after New Year's, being aware of how you're eating, any alcohol consumption, richer foods, staying on a good nutrition plan so that you don't overeat or overtax your body. The other parts of those are rest and sleep. You definitely want to get the rest and sleep to stay on your training program if you are still training. But also remember to give yourself the flexibility and the grace to do a little bit of exercise if you don't have that immediate goal ahead. And also being able to say no to those people or those influences that want to take you away from what your goals are in your training program. So that's a few of our holiday resolutions. I'll let Victor speak a
Yes.
little bit about those.
Absolutely. Holiday resolutions, I think they're important because a lot of times we do much better if we go into them intentionally, knowing that there's going to be a lot of food, there's going to be a lot of temptations. And if we're trying to stay consistent with our training, consistent with our diets, then having a plan, knowing that we're going to practice a little bit of discipline into both whether it's consuming alcohol or overeating or too much sugar, then I think that if we go more consciously into it, we can do a lot better. And if you're training, then you can use that motivation to say, you know what, I got this race coming up next year. I want to, I want to do good. I want to be better in my health. I want to have more clarity. Then you can have some good steps. Now, Adele, can you give us maybe five or a few pointers on how to do best practices? What's going to keep us more consistent with those practices to stay better at implementing them and having a more enjoyable holiday and still be able to train?
Okay, so there's a couple of really good things that I've learned over the years, and I know Victor and I share this with each other. So I'm going to bring a few points to you. Over the years of me running my marathons, I usually had a race planned in the middle of January. So that gives me that last month of mid December to mid January to do my last major training or long distances, as well as starting to taper. So couple of really good incentives is looking at your mindset about discipline and training. And remember that you've already been on your journey for a while. So, my first point is discipline isn't so much discipline of got to do it this way and the structure with no flexibility. Discipline, if you change your mindset a little bit to these are the habits that have brought me success, I'm going to maintain them as best as I can. Point number one. So let's change discipline to maintaining habits, because what you've done is you've stayed on your plan. You're now giving yourself some flexibility during these last couple of weeks during the holidays, but you're maintaining the habits that have brought you success so far. I'm looking at that specifically right now as the physical part of training. If Victor wants to comment on that, do you want to say anything about the physical part of training through those holidays, two couple of weeks of the holidays?
Yeah, I think that just thinking that the fact that you're going to enjoy the holidays much better when you take care of your body is, to me, it's very inspiring and motivating, uh,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes we forget that uh, when I used to drink quite a bit and think, okay, I can go and do my workout, and it just doesn't happen. Your body doesn't feel the same. You don't have the same level of energy. But if you can moderate everything on those in those areas, then you can enjoy the holidays a lot better and start planning for having a really good 2025.
Right, right.
Yeah, I-
And you're moving toward that event that you're planning for. So that's one way to modify, but also stay on your plan, right? Um,
yes,
the second part that goes along with the physical part you got to remember is how you're eating and what you're consuming. And Victor mentioned the alcohol consumption. Alcohol dehydrates your body. Let's just put it out there. It dehydrates your body. Doesn't matter how much you drink, a little bit to a lot, it's still going to take some of that hydration you need to do your training run or do your exercise the next day, whether it's a walk or maybe a little bit of a weight room training. Maybe if it's bad weather, you might ride a stationary bike or be an elliptical. But if you say, I'm going to go out and exercise for 30 or 40 minutes and you've had a lot to drink, without putting in that water or that other hydration that you've been using habitually during your training, then you're not going to be as successful in that little fitness episode of your training program. And you're going to feel pretty bad about that. So watch the alcohol consumption. And I know Victor and I have talked also about our nutrition, but I'd like him to address a little bit about the alcohol like he just did. It does dehydrate you, but it does have other effects on your body as well.
yes. And one of the practices that I use now or more lately is if I am going to have a drink, is making sure that I have water next to it
Mm.
and always consuming more water than the alcohol. If you can have that ratio, you can minimize the effects of the dehydration, for example, or I feel like even the energy level,
Right,
probably because you're staying hydrated, the next day you're still going to feel that energy to go out for a run. So,
right.
and I would say that even if you're not drinking alcohol, but you're still having sweets and consuming a little more food than usual, is making sure that you're drinking lots of water. Because there's other things too, like liquids, like eggnog, that may not
Very
may not
sweet, very sweet and rich.
very very high in sugar. Mm,
Mhm.
so I think that staying hydrated helps a lot. And again, it's about being conscious about it. Anywhere you go, that you have a glass of water or your bottled water, whatever it is, uh, very handy. Don't leave it up to when I'm thirsty, because
Right.
then by then you're probably already uh, dehydrated, just like on your runs.
Exactly. Well, and you know what's funny is you see a lot of people nowadays, especially athletes, not just runners, but anybody that's really kind of conscientiously taking care of their body, whatever form of exercise and nutrition that they practice. You'll see people carrying around drink bottles. A lot of times they have names on them or markers or branding on them. Great to do that because you're carrying that around in one hand. You might be carrying around maybe your sweeter drink or a coffee drink or maybe an alcoholic beverage, maybe a glass of wine. But now you've got both of them. Which one are you going to take first? It doesn't
Correct.
matter because you still have that water or that hydration supplement that you put in your water that's still maintaining that good level. So that's a great point, Victor. Carry it around. You got both of them.
Yeah, because there's also the habit of sipping on something when you are in social environments just out of nervousness. Because I know my wife that has hand me whatever drink she's drinking, whether it's soda, water, it's like, and now she tells me like, make sure you don't drink this because I'll just drink it out of habit. Mm. So yes, some people just drink out of nervousness
Mhm.
and because it's on their hand, like you said. So making sure that you have not just that coffee, alcohol, everything, and you tend to overdrink those when it's not as good for you,
Mhm.
and having that ratio of water higher than other liquids, it's going to be much healthier, especially if they have sugar or caffeine or alcohol. Mm.
There's a lot of things I do during the day on a regular basis besides in a social setting or holiday meal setting that supplements my hydration and also my metabolism to keep it steady, keep it active, keep it efficient. So, if you are accustomed to using any kind of supplement with hydration, make sure you use that through the holidays because that's your body is accustomed to processing that. It's accustomed to using the energy provided by that. It's accustomed to using the hydration provided by that. Don't let those fall by the wayside. And I say that intentionally because on a regular basis, regardless of my fitness event for the day, I'm going to have something that's going to help me hydrate and give me a little bit of energy prior to my workout. I'm also going to use something, usually I'm still drinking that or getting a little bit more hydration during my workout, depending on whatever the fitness event is running, cycling, walking, swimming. I always have something with me. Also, my little gel packs or my nutrition supplements, whatever I'm accustomed to using, I usually have it with me. But also the post fitness event, whatever I'm going to drink to provide that extra hydration and maybe the electrolyte supplement that I might use, or some of the rebuild of my protein, use a protein shake nutritionally, rebuild my protein, rebuild my energy, give me the right nutrients. Keep those with you. If you're traveling, get little travel packs or put them in baggies. Those are key to maintaining those habits that keep you on track for your holiday resolutions.
That's a good point you make. That's awesome. How
Yeah.
about what how do we plan for 2025? How do we plan for the next year, the resolutions? What is the best way? Because what I used to do is try to be registered for a certain race
Mhm.
towards the beginning, and that would get me started. Because in most places, especially in the inland Northwest where it's cold,
Mhm.
we don't have many races probably till the beginning of March.
Really? Okay.
Yep. And if you
Okay.
look them up, then you would want to register for that first one.
Oh, yeah,
And
definitely. So you have a goal. You have something that you're shooting for. Not to
right,
waste your time, not to waste your money, not to waste your intention. You know it's out there, so you start moving ahead. So I tell you what, when I'm down in Louisiana, obviously, you know that if you haven't, if you're just logging in for the first time to our podcast, I am a Louisiana girl. I'm running on flat, hot, humid streets all the time. If I'm on the trace, if I'm in on some grassy areas. It's always hot, always humid. Now, during the winter, cold to us is 40 degrees. Perfect marathon weather, right? Perfect
yeah,
marathon weather. So it depends on your climate, and it also depends on where you're running, how you're running. Are you on hills? Are you on flatlands? Choose a race that's going to allow you to prepare accordingly for that race. As Victor mentioned, he's in a very cold environment normally. When is he going to run a race and where will it be? Is he going to have the hills? Do a little hill training. Do some little cycling if you can, even if it's indoors. Do the elliptical and set the inclines. Those can keep you on track when you cannot get outside to do actual hills in your running shoes. When you're on the flatlands or the humidity like me, key is still hydrate. Still have those energy supplements with you that you're accustomed to training with, because you'll be using those doing your long distance race. So all of those are going to be New Year's resolutions in training. But some of the other New Year's resolutions that we use, a lot of people say, oh, I want to lose weight, I want to save money, and I want to get fit. Okay, well, we all say those things, and oh, I'll start January 1st. Well, what's wrong with starting during your last 2 weeks of the holidays if you know you want to do something? Like Victor's saying, he might run his first race in March in his hometown, right? The cold
Yes.
weather, it's still going to be cold, but he's going to prepare for that. He's going to run through the cold so that when he gets to race day, the temperatures might be a little milder. They might be more conducive to really setting a good pace, might be a little more comfortable than what he's trained in, but he's trained in more severe environmental influences, that on race day he's going to be, whoa, this is great. I don't need 8 jackets. I don't need 4 pairs of gloves. And I don't need 3 pairs of socks. I can get by with one, maybe a little bandana, maybe a little beanie, maybe a hat, jacket, 1 pair of gloves, and go for it. So prepare for what you plan to run with your race environment, locale, and the actual route of the race.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. Preparing things makes it a lot easier.
Mm.
Mm. Sometimes we procrastinate, or we think, you know what, I'll get it ready tomorrow, or I'll wait till it gets closer, and then it doesn't get done. I've noticed that if you prepare everything, like, let me have everything ready for my
Mhm.
run, or let me register for that race way ahead of time. That way you get time to prepare, and it starts to feed your motivation.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
other thing, do you think that we should have like non-negotiables or a minimum, for example, because you and I were talking about the podcast with Judy, Mel Robbins' mother-in-law, that she
Mhm.
runs or walks 4 miles a day. And
Mhm.
Mel asked her, do you ever do anything different? And she said, I'll do sometimes more, but I'll never do less.
Right, right, right.
And it's
And
like,
she's 86 or 87 years old.
87 years old.
Right.
And I think that the other thing that I'm a big believer in, that 1% improvement
Mhm.
a day. So, and I always think about it closer to the New Year's,
Right.
because next year, okay, how do I make that 1% a day improvement? And that can be a little bit tricky, and we can define it a little bit differently, because
Mhm.
it's not always in a linear fashion. Like for running, you wouldn't say I want to 1% faster every day, not necessarily, but you can do like the minute I want to run maybe a little more this year.
Mhm.
1%. It could be in your form. It could be in your nutrition when you go running. Mm, the other thing I want to mention is the apps that we use could be also helpful. I
Right.
use Strava, and they're always creating new things. For example, in Strava, right now, towards the end of the year, you can push a button on it that gives you the summary of the year, how many
Wow.
miles you ran, whether you bike, swim, everything. It has all these sort of a celebration of your year. So it
Ah.
makes it easy to make that 1% improvements. Oh, now I know exactly what it would look like to have
Mhm.
these improvements. Maybe it's more miles. Maybe it's uh, giving kudos, because it even tells you how many kudos you gave to other people.
Right, right. I think one of the things that I like to do is look back on, the things I've accomplished over the year. And it's not just in my running or fitness life, it's also in how that's affected everything else in my life. My family life. Has my running been overshadowing some of the things that I chose to do without including my family? Or has my running allowed me to do things with my family and close friends? Do a little 5K, a holiday run, do a school run for if it's one of the grandkids, or a walk, or whatever it is that we choose to incorporate the other parts of life as well. So the other biggest thing about that is allowing your personal life to invade your running life, your fitness life. One of the things that we do, I mentioned before, my son does own a gym. We do different holiday workouts. We have these open community workouts. We invite everybody in. Those are key things to do that allow you to achieve some goals, maintain your health and fitness, but also bring all those other loved ones and family friends into it. That's key as well. The other thing I'm going to suggest to everybody too is your spiritual and emotional life. We always comment on that. If you don't mind, Victor, if we have just a few more minutes, I'd like to delve a little bit deeper into that, because I want you to say a few things that you've also used on that part of your fitness and life transformation and your life journey. One of the biggest things that we all realize through achieving a goal, if we use the fitness part of our lives, it transcends into everything else that we do. We allow ourselves the time management, the blocks of I'm going to do this because this is a goal I have. And yet now when I'm finished that part of my day, I'm moving into my personal time knowing that I don't have that hanging over my head. I can be present, I can be intentional, I can really be involved with who I want to be involved with at the time. The other part of it is that that energy, both mentally and spiritually and emotionally, that we receive from our fitness and our training and our exercise and the exertion of that energy, transcends into energy to be creative at work or be creative in things we want to do with our lives and with our children and with our families. What activities we want to bring that energy and that focused intention creativity to. So please remember that it's a whole package, a really complete package that you've chosen to make a part of your life.
Thank you for that. That's you put that beautifully. I am a big fan of the quote that says, "How you do, how you do something is how you do everything."
Mm,
And and it sounds a little bit like what you said. It
mhm,
well, what we do physically and in running and the discipline has a ripple effect on other areas of our lives. And if you wake up with that intentionality, even if you're not let's say a morning runner, but
mhm,
I'll wake up and I'll make my bed and I'll think about that quote, is how I do something is how I do everything. And I practice making my bed. I practice doing these things and the gratitude practice,
mhm.
knowing that I don't have to do that, because logically it's like I don't have to do it. Maybe I'm even gonna use it later for a nap. Why should I do it? But it's that practice, that
Mhm,
that discipline, and yes, it can have great effects on other areas, and that's the holistic approach.
mhm.
It's incorporating the mental, the physical, and the spiritual and emotional parts to your running and to the rest of your life, and you're going to be a much more fulfilled person.
Well, and it also gives you that opportunity to do that 1% better each day. I'm going to
Yes.
make my bed today, even though I have less time. I'm going to at least pull it up so when I come back into it, it's neat, it's fresh, and it's
Mhm.
fine for me to then put my head, lay down on my pillow, because everything is simple and good and calm. That little 1% makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Well, I think we come to our
Yeah.
finality. I thank everyone for tuning in. I hope these tips help you, and I hope that in 2025 you also experience a wonderful, wonderful transformation, and may you enjoy the holidays.
Please enjoy the holidays. Be safe if you're traveling. And remember to bring your running shoes with you, your fitness stuff with you, extra gloves, extra hat if you're going to the cold, or bring a tank top if you're coming down by me because it's going to be warm down in South Louisiana. But y'all, please stay in touch with us. If you do have any questions, as Victor always says, in our notes, we'll have all of our information, how to contact us, how to log into some of our information on our coaching and training plans, and anything you need, send us a message. He'll have all that in there for you. We'd love to be a part of your journey.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Till next time. And thank you, Adele. It's always such a wonderful conversation.
Always a pleasure. See y'all soon. Hopefully next week. Have a great Christmas. Bye, everybody.
Bye.